This is Craig Gillespie from Divine Treachery and False Prophet, and you're listening to Misery Point Radio.
Welcome back, minions! Thanks for joining me again on Misery Point Radio. Appreciate you taking one for the team and making the ultimate sacrifice by choosing to hang out with me instead of being productive members of society. But let's be honest, you're not just hanging out with me. In fact, you're probably not here for me at all. That's right, we all know you're here for the badass guests. And there are exactly, and I quote, 1,000 fucks not given about me. But that's alright. I've learned to accept my own irrelevance as I force feed you the piles of awesomeness that you all expect. And speaking of badass guests, today's guest is indeed surrounded on all sides by piles of awesomeness. Another kick-ass metal warrior from North Carolina, slinging the low end and thumping heads with an insane style of bass playing that can only be described as intense. And pulling double duty in two epic bands, Divine Treachery and False Prophet. In fact, the first time I met him was back in Oakland during a False Prophet and Possessed show, and let me tell you, watching this dude play is an amazing experience. You really have to see in person to truly appreciate it, and you can feel the intensity as he gives 1,000% of his energy back to the crowd and back to his bandmates. Absolutely out of control. And I'm really excited I was able to catch up with him in one of his rare moments of downtime during his crazy hectic schedule. This was an awesome conversation about his influences, his philosophy on how he approaches music, how he balances an insane schedule, and even his love of video games and all things pop culture. Just a really super chill, down-to-earth dude, a real musician's musician. So grab yourself a drink, load up the two-footer, kick back, and hang out with us for the next few minutes. I promise it's going to be awesome. You guys ready for this? So welcome to Misery Point Radio from Divine Treachery and False Prophet, Craig Gillespie. Craig, thanks for joining me, brother.
What's going on?
Oh, you know, hanging out in the studio, talking to metal rock stars.
Shit.
So,
Must have been talking to somebody.
talking to somebody else?
Yeah.
Well, so, of course, I'm familiar with you from False Prophet, and when we first met back in Oakland a few months back, you were playing with Possessed, and I made it a priority to go check out Divine Treachery, which was, of course, I think where you were involved with before you got in with the Prophet Boys. So, Never-Ending Cycle for the Suffering is a badass piece of music. Can't stop listening to it, actually. And I think I mentioned to you before, but like 1,000 Fucks Not Given is like an anthem. Such an awesome song.
There you go.
But there's so many cool songs on that album. So we definitely want to spend some time talking about that. But before we roll into too much on kind of the bands themselves, if you don't mind, I'd really like to get a history on everybody that I talk to, so everybody kind of knows where you come from and what you're all about. So, but before we even do that, you and I were just talking a second ago. You had noticed my studio pics of the Batman Arkham Asylum stuff. So you seem to be kind of a like a gamer, pop culture guru. I mean, you're on your Turtle Beach headset. So what's the story with you on that?
And I just like video. I've always played video games ever since I was a kid. My dad always had the old consoles, and he kept them. So I started out on the old school stuff, Super Nintendo, NES, everything like that. And then as I started getting a little bit older, I got the N64 and then, the Dreamcast, and then the PlayStation. And right now I'm an Xbox guy. I love Xbox. I've had it since the first one, and I'll probably buy every one that comes out. But I've just always played video games and love video games.
Yeah. Is that like an escape for you? Kind of a get away from the madness kind of a thing?
Yeah, I have music, work, family, friends, and video games.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah, and I noticed some of your tats are kind of related. I mean, you got like that badass Transformers tat that I saw. You're kind of really, I guess, engulfed in all things pop culture, it seems.
Yeah. my dad and well, my parents in general just they didn't really restrict a lot of things when I was growing up, so I was able to see, a lot of things that were coming on TV, a lot of the old school channels. Like they made sure that I watched, the things they grew up on, the things that were popular in their time, plus the things that were becoming popular when I was a kid, and from then on to now, it's just, you know, something I've always had and something that's never been, held back from me.
Yeah. And so you're an Xbox guy. So what's your franchises of choice?
Man, I'm not playing it at the moment, but Destiny
Yeah.
has been a real big game for me since the alpha of the first game came out. I want to say about 5 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Call of Duty, I don't play it much anymore. It kind of fell off for me, but for Modern Warfare, I played that religiously. Halo, which I'm stoked because a new Halo is coming out.
Yeah. Eventually.
The E3 from the E3, trailer, it's looking pretty dope. So I have some hope in that. But PUBG just all over the place, really. Like I just played through an old school Xbox original game, Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh, KOTOR. Yeah.
That's an MMO. Well, not MMO, but it's a pretty hardcore RPG.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, very tactical for sure. So,
yeah.
But for the most part, it sounds like you're kind of into the shooters, and there's also that cool social element if you do like the Xbox Live and whatnot. So you can kick back and talk some shit to your friends while playing PUBG and watching that map shrink to just minuscule.
Oh God, it's fun. I have a very good core group of friends that I play with on Xbox, and anytime I get on, we play, and whatever game we're playing, we all play together. So it makes for some fun nights and fun rage sessions.
Nice. Awesome. So, cool. Well, hey, so tell us how you got started in music. When did you pick up the bass for the first time, or did you start with something else?
When I was younger, my dad played guitar a lot. He played in bands before I was born, so I would always, come home from school and watch him play guitar. And then I tried starting to learn how to play guitar. My mom had a coworker who knew, like the fundamentals of guitar, and tried to come to the house, give me lessons, and it didn't really work out very well too much for me. And then when I was 11, I had a guy that rode the same bus as me to school. He was selling like a starter bass kit. It was like bass, amp, strap, cable, all that. And I begged and pleaded. My mom and dad begged and pleaded. And I was like, I really want this. I really want to try it. And got it. And my dad started, he taught me how to read tablature and everything like that. So as soon as I learned how to read tablature, that's when I locked myself in my room and just started playing my favorite band songs, and just started from the bottom up pretty much.
So you were about 11.
Yeah, I started about 11.
Man, that's like what, 5th grade? Crazy.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
so you, after the guitar didn't work out, you picked up the bass, and you pretty much stuck with it kind of ever since. So you mentioned some heroes. Who were those heroes? Who were the people that you were listening to at that time?
My dad was a huge Metallica fan, and he had the Cliff 'Em All VHS.
Yeah, I had that.
I burned that motherfucker out. Well, I don't know if I can tell, so sorry.
Yeah, of course.
I burned it all out watching that. So just like kind of watching him was like, dude, I really want to do that. Like, I mean, he's playing bass, which nobody really. I mean, they get credit now, but nobody ever really got the credit they deserve. Kind of just being the bass guy,
right?
But like seeing him just kind of take it to a whole nother level, and it kind of put me back a little bit, and I was like, yeah, I really want to do that. I love how it sounded. Then Les Claypool,
yeah,
my dad introduced me to Thomas, Les Claypool, and then from Cliff Burton's the spectrum of Cliff Burton all the way over to Claypool to see what both of those dudes could do, in metal and even not metal. Was just kind of, it blew me away a little bit. It was like, I don't necessarily have to play metal the whole time when I'm playing bass in a metal song either.
Yeah.
I can incorporate a whole bunch of different shit into my playing. So
Yeah, awesome. And then I jokingly I tagged you in a post a while ago, something about a T-shirt about hey playing bass for Jesus, and you responded if Cliff Burton and Steve DiGiorgio are
yep.
Jesus, then yeah, I guess so. So
Yeah.
yeah, so DiGiorgio
Yep.
also definitely known for kind of
Oh
breaking the mold
man.
on bass players with his insane finger style, but also just crazy phrasing and whatnot. So
Yeah.
yeah, he's pretty epic. So you think those are kind of two of the guys that you stick to the most as far as saying that they're influential on your style of playing?
Yeah. And like you said, like I said, DiGiorgio, I caught on to him kind of, a little bit later throughout playing bass and everything.
Sure.
Dalton, Dalton introduced the singer of Divine Treachery, Dalton. He introduced me to Death, and my first Death album was Human.
Right?
So just hearing that, just hearing the things that he did on those songs was like, holy, like he's playing death metal, but he's not just following the guitars or the drums. Like he has his own phrases, like you said. And it was, I don't know, it got me really good with that.
Right.
Like I really loved him after that, and then seeing him play with Testament now, which is one of my favorite bands.
Yeah.
Back before I even knew who he was, and seeing him and Hoagland playing in the that rhythm section, that's probably like one of my favorite rhythm sections of all time. Is
Yeah.
Hoagland and Georgia.
Yeah, those guys are fucking monsters for sure.
Oh man,
So,
good.
you picked up the finger style then probably fairly early on then as you were learning. It seems to be that's the path that you've stayed on.
Yeah, yeah. I played with a pick when I first, not when I exactly when I first started out. But then I kind of I found David Ellison, which was
Oh, yeah.
another very highly regarded bassist for me. And I picked up playing with the pick for a little bit, and even in my first band before we started playing out live, I played with the pick, and I don't know what happened, but I just kind of just stopped one day. Like once I was started getting my fingers to the point where I could keep up without having to play with the pick.
Right.
I was okay. I don't really think I necessarily need to play with a pick anymore. I can do a lot more with my fingers than I can with just one solid pick.
That's all. Yeah, dude, your pick style is intense. Your finger style is just fast. I try to take pictures of it, and your hands are moving so fast I can't even get pictures of it. It's crazy. So, yeah. So, was the goal for you to always though go the band route? I mean, obviously you grew up in kind of a musical household, and that was kind of an environmental thing for you. Did you decide that you wanted to play music to be in a band, or did you just want to play music at first just to kind of just try something different?
Man, yeah, you could say that. I wanted to be able to play the songs that I liked listening to, like whether it was, with somebody or just on my little practice amp, with the headphones in, playing with the song. I just wanted to be able to play the things that I was listening to on a daily basis. And I always wanted to jam with people, but I could never find people that wanted to do the same thing I wanted to.
Yeah.
Really was a little bit more heavier. And I jammed with a couple of friends from school, here and there, but it never really worked out until Dalton just kept, pounding me about coming over, hanging out. He's an excellent guitar player himself. So, playing with him and knowing that he was into the same kind of music that I was into, I was like, okay, maybe this could work out. Me and him hook up, and we're still best friends to this day, still in bands playing together. So
yeah, so this was pre Divine Treachery days, of course. Then
right,
yeah,
yep.
So bringing that back home, then, so how did you end up in Divine Treachery?
Oh, like I said, me and Dalton were previously in the band Hexus, and when that was coming to an end, we met Jimmy and Alan. We had known them for a few years, but never really very personally. We just seen them around at shows and everything like that. So me and Dalton started going over to a place over downtown Greensboro where they allow bands to practice, a storage facility.
Okay.
And Alan had just, he started playing drums and jamming with Jimmy, and Dalton started singing with him because the singer they had, it just didn't work out for whatever reason. And so Dalton joined. It wasn't even Divine Treachery then. He just started jamming with them, writing lyrics and stuff. And I was, Hexus was coming to an end, so I was like, well, I want to try something different. I'm going to play guitar. I was just going to play electric guitar with Jimmy, Dalton, and Alan. And they had already had a bass player coming through and, jamming and everything, and he didn't want to do it. But he had a medical reason that kept him from doing it. And so when he dropped out, I was like, okay, yeah, I want to play bass for this. Like, I don't even want to play guitar anymore. I would rather play bass. It's probably easier to find another guitarist. And so we started out with us four, just playing shows, and never really found a solid fit for a second guitar. So it's just always, we've kind of kept it like, well, we can all four deal with each other, and it sounds great with just all four of us. So we'll just keep it like that.
Yeah, well, hey, that's one less person to have to share the millions with.
Let me know when you find those millions.
Right. So I saw in your band bio that you guys are listing some pretty awesome influences. I think I saw Death, Testament, which we talked about, Sepultura, Black Dahlia, Megadeth. You mentioned Ellefson. How do you describe the overall sound of Divine Treachery? Because to me, I hear a lot of influences, and it definitely seems pretty straight ahead thrash, but it starts to get into that death territory in some elements as well.
Oh yeah. All four of us, of course, we have the general, favorite band, Slayer and everything like that.
Right.
It's really, good heavy music. But then again, all four of us kind of have a very eclectic taste in music. Like Alan, one of Alan's favorite bands, his favorite band is probably Black Dahlia.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy's would have been, Sepultura. That's where he got, most of his riff styles from. Dalton, he's all over the place, and same as me. So it's kind of, I couldn't really tell you like how to pinpoint an influence, just because of the fact that there's so many bands that we love, and it's just not exactly a favorite for us.
Right.
Tell you our favorite band at the moment because we listen to so much stuff.
Sure. One thing I noticed about you, about Divine Treachery, is that your playing style at your shows, I mean, I've never had the opportunity to see you live with Divine, but I've seen plenty of YouTube videos. You guys are a bunch of intense motherfuckers. I mean, there's some pits going, there's some moshing, there's headbanging. I mean, it's a high energy kind of a set when you guys play. Is that by design, or is that just a natural, hey, we're all feeling it and let's just go for it?
That's just us, man. I think with me and Dalton, it was the same with Hexus, and I know with Jimmy and Alan, it was the same in their bands before when they were in bands together, and even their own solo bands. It's just, we like the music that we make. We like playing the music that we make, and even to see, the people out in front of us, feeling the music and actually, digging it and getting into it just feeds it so much more. It's kind of, it's that whole thing where, you put out the energy so we can get it, and then we give you the energy back, Yeah,
no, it was awesome.
Never really by design.
No roadmap to the mosh pit. Just go.
No. Just go, just write. We don't ever really want to call for a mosh pit. We just want to write the riffs that make you want a mosh pit.
Oh, yeah. It's killer. So you guys basically formed in, around the 2016, and then here just this year, a couple of months ago, your CD came out, coincidentally on 420. I don't know. That must have just been a crazy coincidence.
Yeah. I think that was just a glitch in the matrix there. I don't know how that happened.
So that's not a very long wait, though, from inception to shows to albums. So you guys seem like you're pretty serious. I mean, what's the songwriting process like for you guys?
Uh, Jimmy will come in with a major idea of a song, and he'll come usually to me and Alan, and from then on, we'll continue on with that riff, writing, the rest of the song, arranging, and as soon as we kind of get around the ballpark of where we feels right, and Alan, has a good blueprint from what he's going to do behind the kit, Dalton will come in and start laying down vocal patterns, so lyrics he's either already wrote or he's in the process of writing, and we get those down, and we just try to hammer it out and practice as much as we can, and once we get to a good spot where we feel like we can play it out live, we'll start playing it out live.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's live's really the test for that song, for a song, to see, either whether or not it's good, and then whether or not you can nail it live too. So,
and also, I guess, how the crowd responds. If it's if they recognize that it's something new, they already know your songs. Oh, hey, here's a new one, and then if they're paying attention, this is a test, motherfuckers.
Exactly.
Yeah, that seems to be the way that I've always done it too. Is you try out a new song in a live venue, and if anything, you just look at it like, hey, this is a practice for us. So from it seems like a pretty collaborative point, though. Somebody brings in an idea, you guys all get together, jump in. So it's not a matter of one person writing all the stuff, and then you guys just like, oh, hey, let me add a fill to this or a run to this.
Yep, like it's completely a band effort. If somebody was to write lyrics to a song, they would just bring it to Dalton. Like I've helped write a few songs lyrically on the album. Like I said, Jimmy comes in with probably a majority idea of a song, maybe not a couple finished riffs or a couple transitions or how it's arranged, and how many times the riff, or the verse, chorus, all that stuff. So anybody can come in with any idea and not feel pressured that oh, it's a stupid fucking idea, don't write anything. No matter what you feel about it, if you have a riff and you think it's cool, then anybody can contribute. Dalton, he doesn't play guitar in the band at all, but we have a couple of newer songs that he wrote, a lot of guitar riffs for. So it's whatever you can bring to it, man. Lyrics, drum patterns, riffs, arrangements, whatever it needs to be.
Yeah, that's killer. It's something I think a lot of bands either don't engage in or don't know how to engage in, which is the everybody's input matters kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's different if you join a band and you go in there and they're already established and they're already doing stuff, and you're kind of the new kid and you say, okay, right, I'm gonna learn your stuff first, and the next time around maybe I get involved in that. But it seems to be it's collaboration is awesome. It's totally key.
Oh yeah.
So speaking of lyrics, though, I was studying your CD liner because that's what I do, because I and it seems like, yeah, I know, right? You guys span lyrically and topically quite a bit of stuff. I mean, you've got your songs that kind of veer on maybe touching on a little bit of social stuff. I don't want to say political, but you've got some songs that maybe talk about current events kind of happening in the world, and then you've got some more songs that are just kind of like energy inducing kind of stuff. So is there any kind of an idea when you guys approach lyrics and song ideas and topics? Is there kind of a formula to that, or is it just like whatever's on your mind turns into a song?
It's whatever, man. I'm trying to think of how to explain it. There's no formula to come up with a song.
Right.
So, I could write a song about a video game I'm playing, or Jimmy could write something about what happened to him at work. And, as long as it fleshes out into a good song and good lyrics and catchy lyrics and everything, and everybody can feel it, then everything's fair game.
So you're not trying
for us.
to write songs to kind of fit them into what the idea of the band should be, right? You're not trying to fit it into a mold of we can only write about these kinds of topics, or
No,
we want to seem really thrashy or deathy, so we can only write about this stuff.
exactly. We want to be able to write about whatever the hell we want to write about. And as long as, like I said, as long as the lyrics are there and people can feel it and the music behind it is good, then I mean, like I said, it's fair game for anything that comes to anybody's mind. You know,
Yeah.
any idea, whatever it may be.
Awesome. The recording quality on that is really good. Like the album sounds really good, but it still has kind of a raw, old school vibe. In fact, sonically, what jumped into my head was Old Slayer meets Old Testament with like the guitar tones and kind of the overall sonic quality of it. Where'd you guys record at?
A guy named Cody Rogers produced the album out of Sound Force Studios
And that's local to where you're at?
in South Carolina. I'm blanking on the state right now, but it's about a 3 hour drive from where I am right now.
Oh,
So
okay.
we would just go spend a weekend down at his studio. You know, he was kind enough to let us crash in his studio. So we would just go down Friday, work. We would go down Friday night, work to however late, any of us could take it. Some nights we went to 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, whatever. Crash, wake up Saturday, work all day and night, and Sunday wake up, finish whatever we could, pack up, and head home.
Oh,
Yeah.
piles of craziness. How long did it take you to get the whole album recorded?
It took guitars and bass pretty much one weekend to record tracking, solos, and everything like that. Drums, it also took one weekend. Vocal was a little bit spread out. I believe Dalton himself went down there twice and then went down again a third time to finish up some stuff, along with Chris Cobb of Cadaver Creator.
Okay.
He was he's the guest feature on our album vocally for From the Womb to the Tomb. So he came down there, hammered out his lines, got his tracking done. So all in all, really about about 4 weekends was about it. So it didn't take long for us at all. The mixing was probably the longest process for us.
Yeah. Yeah, that's quite the process.
Yeah.
I don't miss the studio time of having to sit in that room during the mixing stuff. I'm like, oh my God. I just don't have the ear to figure out how these guys hear these super minuscule details. I mean, it takes a crazy amount of talent just to
it's ridiculous.
tune your ear to hear certain things. So props to those guys. Yeah, man, it's your album sounds absolutely killer. And if that wasn't enough, taking on Divine and all the shows you're playing in the album, somewhere along the way, you ended up hooking up with False Prophet. How did that come? How did that come into play? I heard Paul's side of it, but I want to hear it from you. So,
well, I known Prophet, from back, before I started playing out live. I wasn't very into the scene much when I was coming up, just because I didn't know anybody, to go to shows or what the local venues were, or anything like that. So when we started playing out, that was around the same time Prophet came back, and saw them play at the Blind Tiger. They actually played with them, opened up for them, and me and Dalton's first band. So I knew Paul, and really cool, really good friends, and then fast forward a little bit. I get a message from Paul from Facebook. He's like, "Hey man, would you be interested in playing for Prophet?" And I kind of fangirled a little bit, because that was like one of my favorite bands.
did you squeal?
A little bit,
Yeah.
a little squeal. But I mean, local, national or not, they were one of my favorite bands. So I kind of had to take a step back and was like, holy shit, what's happening? And then I went and talked to the guys in Divine, hey, Paul from Prophet, just hit me up asking if I would be interested in playing, and I want to do it, and they gave me their blessing. So I hit him up,
Awesome.
went to a practice, hung out with him, Scott and Matt, and then I believe the next week I came in the practice spot, started jamming the songs.
Yeah. How is it? How is it playing songs that you grew up listening to?
It's wild, man. It's I still have to think about it sometimes. It's crazy because I mean of course I know they're huge around here. Even regionally up the East Coast. Wherever from Florida to New York. They were pretty popular, and it's just being able to play those songs. With the band that produced those songs.
Sure.
All being, the original member, like being able to play alongside him playing the songs that I like, when I was coming up is still kind of mind blowing to me.
Yeah. No, it's well, you fit in well. I mean, Divine is a super high energy band. False Prophet, of course, one of my favorites, and they continue to slay it. So I think it's a good fit for you, and it's cool that you got the blessing from the other guys too. That how do you balance the two bands? I mean, especially now, it looks like the schedules are picking up quite a bit. So between all the shows, I know what you got coming up on some of this stuff. Having work, right. Having a life. I mean, how do you do that, man?
Man, I mean, most of my time is spent practicing and getting ready for shows and stuff. And, you said, how do I manage it between bands? Like communication. If Divine has something coming up, I let the Prophet guys know. If Prophet has something coming up, I let the Divine guys know. And it's just making sure that everybody on both fronts know what's going on with me, and just putting all my time into both of them. And
sure.
I tell everybody says that, I must be super busy. And it's like, yeah, I'm busy, but I would rather be busy doing this than anything else.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work holding down one band, let alone two. So that's crazy.
The reason I do it, I get music.
Yeah, no, you dig the music. You're fully invested. That's for sure.
Yep.
Do you approach each band differently? I mean, when you go and you play, say, a Divine Treachery show, and then you go and play a False Prophet show, is there a different mindset that you're getting into? Is there a different style that you're trying to, or is it one and the same as far as you're concerned with your approach to it?
It's the same to me, man. Like you said earlier, both of them are high energy bands. Prophet, of course, being, a little bit more, a lot more death metal, and, Divine being, thrashy, a little straightforward metal, just heavy, but just all the same energy is still there.
Mm-hmm.
So like, you still, no matter that a Divine show to a Prophet show, you still want to put on a good high energy show.
Yeah.
And it never really changes for me. But, with what band I'm playing in, wherever we're playing at, however many people are there, you want to give the people that came there to see you, you want to give them your all.
That's a good call out, because you hear a lot of people that will say things like, oh, I didn't see the turnout as high as I like it to be, and so it kind of killed my energy. But you seem like no matter what the size of the venue or the crowd turnout, you're giving it the same. Like, I've watched you play many different times, and there's definitely, you're given 1,000% regardless of what any of the external factors are.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much get to be a lunatic for 30, depending on 30 minutes to an hour. That's how, I'm a pretty calm person. That's how I let, a lot of my stress out, whatever,
Sure.
The shit week I've had before, I get to go up there, just let it all out. And it just happens to be for the thing I like doing the most, which is music.
Yeah. Not a lot of people get that opportunity to do it to the level that you're doing it. So that is definitely killer.
And I for sure do not take anything, like you said, the smaller shows or the bigger shows. I don't take any of that for granted because, like you said, not everybody gets to do this. Not everybody gets to go out and play in front of people and write music and everything like that. So I'm happy where I'm at, and I'm happy to keep going forward with whatever, whatever happens.
What are some of your favorite songs from each band to play live? Ones that are particularly challenging, or ones that you think the crowd digs the most?
Oh man. Let's see. Divine favorite song. It be honest with you, it'd probably have to be either From the Womb to the Tomb or Since Amelia Arise.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, From the Womb to the Tomb is just heavy as shit.
Yeah, that is a heavy song.
Fun, and plus, like I'm saying, if we're playing with Cadaver Creator, if Chris is around, he comes up, he jumps up on stage and does the song with us. So
oh, killer!
It's fun to be able to play with him. And Prophet, we haven't worked it into the set much, but when we do play it live, Forgotten Souls.
Oh yeah,
that's always been one of my favorite songs by Prophet. Being able to play that live myself and with the band, that's always a good time.
Yeah. Well, so what's your rig consisting of? You're using the same equipment between both bands, same settings, same bass, same amps and everything like that?
Yeah, for the live shows, yeah, pretty much. I'm just running a Tech 21 500 watt head. Is like pretty much the Sans amp pedal that you see a lot of bass players use.
Sure,
it's a head version of that, and which is super small and compact, just good. So like if we ever need to fly out or anything like Oakland or say something, I can just put it on my carry on, anything like that. So it's super compact, and then pretty much the cab. If I'm using my own cab, it's 8x10 acoustic. Cab, and I've had that.
That's an old school amp right there.
Yeah, I've had it since I started playing out live, and I don't think I'll ever get rid of that thing. I love it to death.
Yeah, that's awesome. And speaking of shows, you're playing some pretty big shows. A lot of cool stuff's popping up. What did I see this about Soulfly?
Yeah, man. Oh, yeah. It was. I think I'm a little bit more happy for Jimmy. Like I'm super stoked, and, Max and Sepultura, it was a huge band for me growing up, but just to see Jimmy talk about it and just see, the joy in his face when he talks about being able to play with Max, probably his biggest musical hero growing up.
Yeah.
It's just a big thing for all of us.
Yeah. How did that even come into play?
Well, the venue that's hosting it, the Blind Tiger, we got it through a guy that works there that used to work, if you remember the old Ziggy's. It was a big concert venue in Winston-Salem here in North Carolina. He moved to the Blind Tiger, and me and Dalton knew him from back in our first band days and playing at Ziggy's. So we hit him up and asked if we would love to play the show, and just told us, yeah, go, cool. Submit your name, and we'll see, if your name comes up, we'll for sure add you to the bill. So we didn't think, we would get it and everything like that. But a couple days later, Jimmy sends us a message through the band chat on Messenger saying, "Holy shit, we just got the Soulfly show." And so we all kind of, I think we all kind of giggled a little bit once Jimmy gave us the news.
Yeah. So there was kind of an oh shit moment followed by a fuck yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, how the fuck did we get this show? Okay, cool, we're playing the show, now we need to get to work.
Yeah, it's funny. Max has been kind of the underdog of influencers. I think a lot of people have taken Sepultura as kind of an influence, but then, Soulfly and Nailbomb kind of, they were always there, but I don't think they get the level of appreciation from the outside that really know how much Max had to do with that whole scene. So
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was. Yeah, he's like you said. He's probably one of your favorite metal musicians. Favorite metal musician.
Right.
That's yeah. That's probably the best way to describe it. Not everybody knows him. Everybody should know him and what he's done. But the things that he has done is it changed everything for everybody for the better.
Yeah, yeah, I'm a huge fan, absolutely. And keeping the trend going with these awesome shows. Of course, with Prophet, you've had a chance to play like with Possessed, and of course
Oh,
Massacre
yeah.
and Druid Lord, and now you're gearing up for a show with Monstrosity in New York.
Yep.
And then what's this I hear about you guys maybe heading up a little farther north and getting into Canada?
We're working, man. We're working. We're trying to, like you said, we're getting the ball rolling again on material, and just trying to buckle down, get some new tunes wrote, get some of the old songs thrown back into the set. Just trying to make people aware that Prophet's back.
Yeah,
We're doing this shit. It's just a one-off thing. Like we want to show people that we're serious, and we're writing the tunes to back the attitude pretty much.
yeah,
So we're just working back up, man. We're just working it,
yeah.
trying to get what we can get and take any of the good opportunities we can.
Yeah, well, and you guys just did some recording there with Jamie King, of course, for the Cam Lee Split project, and I did get a chance to hear some tasty little tidbits out of that, and it's fucking epic as you would expect. And clearly there's some more studio work coming from you guys here in the near future.
Oh yeah, yep. We've got another song completely recorded. Just needs a little work, a little fine tuning. Probably gonna aim for another 3 to 4 songs. Just depending on how the feeling is. Could be more. Could always go for more. But yep, the writing process is going, man.
Yeah.
These new tunes that we have been working on are fucking gnarly.
Yeah.
I'm sure people will dig them. The old school Prophets and even the new school Prophet fans. They'll seem to dig it.
Yeah, that was something that Jamie King had brought up, was working with a band like Prophet. There's a certain level of expectation to retain the OG quality that they're known for, but do it in a fashion that technologically sounds approachable to some of the people who are just now getting introduced to the music. So that fine line between being respectful to the source material and not overproducing it, but making it sound, listenable by some of today's standards. So the stuff that I have heard is absolutely epic. Of course, you guys have played Divine, tons of times at this point, and Prayers is one that is also awesome. So definitely can't wait to hear what else is coming down the pike. So,
oh yeah,
I think you've got a busy schedule. Are you eating? Are you sleeping? Are you energy drinking your way through the days with caffeine and?
Oh yeah, just got to keep it going somehow, man. Nah, you still have to find the time to do, small things like you said, eat, sleep, everything like that. But majority of my time is music and kind of recharging myself to get out in front of people again.
Yeah.
And I'm more of I would rather be kind of off in the distance, just by myself hanging out, with a couple of friends and everything. I'm not really the guy that's going to go out into a big crowd and, hey, look at me, I'm here. What's up, everybody?
Right.
So anytime I'm kind of out front of a lot of people, I like to, take some time to myself, kind of recharge my batteries a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to recharge when you're constantly bombarded with stuff from the outside world. That's for sure.
Yeah.
No rest for the wicked, I believe, is how the saying goes. So.
Yeah, it's all good with me.
Yeah. So what are you?
I can rest when I'm not breathing again.
Nice, which will be never, by the way.
Yeah, there you go.
So what are you looking forward to the most right now? What's got you the most excited on your horizon?
Oh man, it's kind of a shit answer, but just playing music, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, like I just in it for the joy of doing it, whether it be going to New York to playing with Monstrosity, going to Asheville with Divine Treachery, going to Wilmington with Divine Treachery, just getting out and playing shows, man, writing music, whatever it may be.
So you're not looking forward to the relaxing side. You like the chaos. You like getting out, doing the performing, and sharing the energy and doing all that kind of stuff. Oh,
yeah.
The man.
I keep to myself most of the time. So whenever I get to go out and do things, I do enjoy it. Yeah. And I like to do them. I like to do them well. So
yeah, you like to be in the trenches.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Well, I would love to see you guys make your way over here to the West Coast, both bands. So you have my blessings to get your asses on over here to Seattle side, because I'm going broke always going over to your side of the woods.
I say you can hop in planes.
I know, right?
Get some plane rides and everything.
Yeah, because podcasting pays so well.
There you go. Just all that dough, making in all the money.
All that dough. Cool. Well, hey, man, this has been absolutely awesome. I think I've gotten a lot of cool background on what you do and what you're all about. Of course, I'm loving both the bands you're in. Why don't you go ahead and plug your websites and your social media, and where can we find you out there in the world?
Divine Treachery. You can find us on Facebook, facebook.com, Divine Treachery. Prophet, you can do the same. Facebook.com, False Prophet. We keep both of the pages are pretty up to date with shows and announcements, whatever it may be, whether new music dropping, new merch, whatever. So just Facebook pretty much kind of where we keep everything updated and keep it rolling.
Yeah, and I can say firsthand, both bands, Divine and Prophet, very responsive to fans. They always answer back, so shoot them a message. You'll get the real people talking to you back, which I absolutely love about the metal community. Is there's no pretense. It's you're getting right to the source, and these guys appreciate all the support. So buy their albums, stock them on social media, check them out online, go see their shows. Go give Craig a big hug next time you see him at the show. He absolutely loves it.
I'm a good hugger, man. I'm a good hugger.
Awesome. Cool. Craig, thank you, brother, man. This has been awesome, and I'm sure I'll be talking to you again real soon.
Oh, yeah, man. Thank you, man. It's been an honor.
Actually, it's been a huge honor for me, and it always is anytime these super badass guests come hang out on Misery Point Radio, talk to me, talk to you, give us the insight, give us the real stories, have a real conversation, share with the world the inner workings of the artistic mind. Honestly, it really just doesn't get any better than that, and I'm proud to be a part of it, and I'm glad that you guys are hanging out with me on that journey, so thank you so much. As always, if you like the show, you like what I'm doing here, do me the solid, subscribe to the show, iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, wherever podcasts are found. And now, we're going to check out some Divine Treachery. This one's called Dead Ringer off their debut CD, Never Ending Cycle for the Suffering. Go buy that shit right now!